Hey there, detectives. As you know, the Hardy Boys Drink Book is coming to an end, but the adventure is never over for intrepid and intoxicated adventurers of the literary unknown. On that note, my brother Jack and my sister Faye are starting a new podcast exploring the other corners of children's detective fiction beyond the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew. If you enjoyed the Hardy Boys Drink Book podcast, I know you'll enjoy these new stories. And now, without further ado, a very special episode, Drunken Gumshoes, Episode 1!
It's 2019 and there's too many podcasts. When did you even subscribe to this one? It's the Drunken Gumshoes. Each episode, we sit down with a stiff drink and a famous children's mystery novel. Reading them as an adult makes you feel really smart, until they make you feel really stupid. Today's episode is Encyclopedia Brown Saves the Day. So plop those quarters down on the gas can and pour that cocktail top speed, because it's time to solve this mystery. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the spin-off podcast. I'm Jack Webso.
I'm Faye Derrickson.
And, we have had a lot of requests over at the Hardy Boys Drink Book for people to say, hey, have you ever done any of those other children's mystery series that are out there, of which there seem to be a sort of endless supply? What series come to mind for you, Faye, when you think of other children's mystery series?
No, I'm not. Now I'm on the spot.
Yeah.
I guess not.
Well, we hear the Boxcar Children a lot.
Definitely the Boxcar Children.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think of, Animorphs wasn't really mystery, though, was it?
Sure. Well, I mean, they got into some mystery stuff. But anyway, so this idea was that maybe we could take a look at some of those other kind of children's mystery series, just kind of see what else is out there. And so we decided for a kind of briefer, more interesting kind of spin-off podcast. We'll see what happens with it. So we rolled the dice and ended up with our first book, which, Faye, would you care to introduce this one?
Sure, absolutely. So the book that we chose is Encyclopedia Brown, everyone's favorite boy detective. And it's Encyclopedia Brown Saves the Day.
Saves the Day. Yeah, Saves the Day. Do you think it's like the proper way to say the title every time is Encyclopedia Brown, everyone's favorite boy detective, saves the day? Like when Encyclopedia Brown, everyone's favorite boy detective, and the case of the secret pitch. That's a long title.
It is.
It looks like their ISBN numbers do not include the everyone's favorite boy detective.
So
Wikipedia searches. You don't have to say that every time, but it is listed on the book. Yeah, at least on my cover.
If you want to be thorough,
Yeah. Exactly. And, when was had you read Encyclopedia Brown books before this, Faye? Had you read any?
Yeah, I had read Encyclopedia Brown growing up. It had been many, many years since I had picked one up and dived into the wonderful mysteries that Encyclopedia solves.
Yeah, I feel like I read a lot of these books, again, when I was a kid. I feel like I checked a lot of them out from the school library. I don't remember if we owned many when we were growing up.
I don't remember that either. I remember getting them from the Rushville Library when we would go see our grandparents, but I don't remember them just like lying around on the coffee table as I do some
neither
of the
do
other
I.
books.
I feel like you checked them out and then you read them in like a week. You burned through them in a weekend and then you brought them back basically and you got a new one. But I guess I was quickly reminded once I started reading the book, and we'll preface this with readers by saying I don't know about you, Faye, but I did read the entire book, but we're going to focus on one of the small stories that are in them.
Yep, same.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that kind of came back to me very quickly was, oh, that's right, every chapter is its own mystery. Mm-hmm. Which means you get a lot of mysteries in each Encyclopedia Brown, everyone's favorite boy detective book.
I think you get 10. 10 per.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is that's a lot of bang for your, what does it say it retails for on the back? There's a lot of bang for your $5.99.
It is.
$7.99 Canadian.
For your 96 pages. Yeah.
For your 96 pages of mysteries. Well, some of those pages are the solutions, which are in the back. You flip to the back of the book to get the solutions. But yeah, so that kind of, I was like, oh yeah, and so that means the mysteries are actually, they're really short.
Yes.
I mean, like literally, I think the one that we're going to talk about today, which is the case of the gold rush, I think is the entire thing is 5 pages, and one of those 5 pages is a full page illustration.
Yeah, and one of those pages is like only a third text.
Yeah, exactly. So they go by really, really fast. So I don't know. I guess maybe before we dive into the case of the gold rush, I guess we could talk a little bit about the kind of history behind these books. They were written by a guy named Donald J. Sobol, who I was, I guess, kind of surprised to learn is a real person.
Yeah, real person born in New York City.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of these kids' books and these children's series, especially when there's tons of them, because I think there's 29 books in the Encyclopedia Brown series. A lot of them, like when you go to research them, you find out that they were written by whole teams of people, where 6 or 8 people worked on a single book, and they just cranked them out like a publishing, and so it's really kind of incredible to see that Donald J. Sobol is not what do you call it? A pseudonym for a whole bunch of writers. That this guy actually produced all this stuff. And the other book series that he, I guess, is known for, although I haven't read any of them and hadn't heard of them until I kind of started researching, was a series of books called 2-Minute Mysteries.
Yeah. I read about that as well.
Yeah, and they're basically like Encyclopedia Brown, except they don't feature the title character. and they're kind of more, from what I gather, having not read any, they're kind of more adult in nature. Like crimes like murder occur in 2-Minute Mysteries, which nobody died in this particular Encyclopedia Brown book that we read.
No.
Nobody, not even there weren't any any Hardy Boys level near scrapes in this. Everybody was very, very safe. Although a couple people get victimized, and we'll talk about that because I thought one of those victimizations was rather interesting. Did you read any of these mysteries and instantly be like, oh, come on, I know the answer to that one?
No, I did not. Not instantly. I didn't have I don't even have to flip to the back of the book with this one.
Right.
No.
I only had one in the entire one where I was like, come on. But I feel like what that indicates is that the Encyclopedia Brown mysteries are really, your ability to solve them is based on your knowledge of trivia.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And I guess that's as good a point as any to dive into the particular story that we're going into, which is called The Case of the Gold Rush.
Yes. Encyclopedia Brown lives in a town called Idaville.
And there's no state associated, or at least not that I remember.
No,
there's
not that I remember either. Idaville is its own place. And Idaville is supposedly full of wonderful fresh air. It has beaches. It has 3 movie theaters and 4 banks.
Wow.
Which is a lot of movie theaters for one place.
Yeah. I don't know. Rapid City, South Dakota, where we grew up, has 3 movie theaters.
But we have more than 2 delicatessens.
Yeah, that's right. And way more than 4 banks.
Yeah, way more.
Yeah. So, I don't know. In a lot of ways, it's kind of a quaint little storybook. I guess if it's a town that's small enough that it only has 4 banks, then yes, that is a large amount of movie theaters.
Exactly.
3 it turns out, is a lot. When
you only have 4 banks and 2 delicatessens in town.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, we definitely have our share of movie choices. You would hope that there's some variety, right? That, maybe one of them is one of those new fancy movie theaters that are popping up everywhere where you can order a hamburger and they bring it to you during the movie, and you can have alcohol served to you and the bill is outrageous.
Insane. It's that is your outing for the month.
And Leroy Brown is the son. Leroy is Encyclopedia's real name. Is the son of the police chief in town.
And he helps solve mysteries in town.
All the mysteries.
And everyone thinks it's the police chief because they don't announce. I mean, they're going to keep, I don't know if it's safety or just the illusion that the police chief is real smart. But he lets his 10-year-old solve a lot of the mysteries and takes credit for it. So,
which is like, I don't know why. I feel like that's a real like Chief Wiggum thing to do.
It is a real Chief Wiggum.
You know what I mean?
Very much so.
Yeah.
I feel like he has good intentions, but also, I mean,
that's a real
hard
head
to
scratcher.
deny that there's.
I'm gonna bring that one home to my 10-year-old son. Give it to him at the dinner table, and he specifically
only
says that,
during
and
the
I
winter.
believe, only during the winter. Do they do it at the dinner
he's
table?
Outside in the garage in the summer, but otherwise during the school year he's at the dining room table, right? In the winter.
I missed that part.
Yeah,
I guess
in the winter, Encyclopedia did his detective work sitting in the dining room. When school let out, he moved to his summer quarters in the garage.
In the garage, where he has a gas can that is the place where you put the money that you want to pay him. But it's not like a gas can with a hole in it where you like drop a quarter into the gas can.
No.
They specifically say that he charges, 50 cents to solve a mystery?
25, right?
25 cents. I thought sometimes it was 2 quarters. Maybe he gets a tip.
Yeah.
But anyway, it talks specifically about how they lay the quarters on top of the gas cap.
Right.
Like all the people who come to have the mysteries solved. Well, the kids in town, basically, they come to him and they're like, I'll pay you 25 cents to solve my mysteries, which are a lot more stolen bicycles and
and adults
that kind of
too.
thing.
I mean, sometimes there's theft and stuff.
Right.
The thing I like
true.
about the gas can too is that they don't tell you it's where the money goes when you first, like, if this is the first book you pick up, you just find out that he moves to his summer quarters in the garage at his battered old desk by the gasoline can.
Yeah, which is like...
You're like, wait a second, what?
I thought like you weren't supposed to... I mean, I guess you can have... It's good to have a little bit of gas maybe for emergencies in your garage, but like, I don't know. Like, that seems dangerous. And to let your... where you want your kids to play. Yeah, exactly. Like, don't... Just come out in the driveway, Leroy. Like, the fumes are... You're sitting right next to that can. Just get a little ways away from it. But he's like, no, it's part of my mystique. It's part of my.
It's where I have to say that, in the summer.
Yeah, I have to say that I do love the kind of. There's a lot of kind of style and structure to these books or to these mysteries that I really really like, and there's a lovely kind of lots of great turns of phrase. We'll get to some of them, because it has this almost kind of noir writing to it, like he's writing like an old 30s mystery, like nobody is ever like as a matter of fact, yes, they've like got a zinger to go with it. Why, like I was so ready to go, you could have shipped me to Mars or something. They all have like something like that they say, so I do really like that. In some cases, I believe it gets a little overwritten.
Yes, but that's part of the the draw to
mystique,
it. What's the enjoyment is that it goes overboard occasionally, and you just kind of
like,
roll your eyes.
Hell? Yeah, exactly. So in this particular story though, Encyclopedia he's not in his garage.
No, he is on Rock Garden Lane. He is biking. He's out biking the neighborhood, and he's going past an empty lot. And he comes across another neighborhood child, another young boy named Nathan Winslow, who is swinging.
That's such a good fictional name. He belonged right at home in like Riverdale.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just really generic fictional. You're like, okay, Nathan is like a one and done character. This is his one and only
Nathan.
Chapter. Little Nathan Winslow. Yeah. Anyway, so
he's swinging a pickaxe at top speed. For a 9-year-old.
I had missed the top speed. Yeah. I had missed that. 9 years old.
Yes.
Yeah. Just going to town with this pickaxe. And like, what is he swinging it into? Oh, just an empty lot. Yeah. He's just bashing that pickaxe into the ground.
And Encyclopedia, being the inquisitive boy that he is, he breaks and he says, "What are you doing?" And he inquires. And so Nathan, of course, says, "What does it look like?" Which obviously he's digging.
Yeah.
And
but also like I still feel like but my question stands.
Yeah, like why?
You're swinging it. You're not use a shovel. You're like in an empty lot swinging a pickaxe around
top speed, like really fast,
really
fast.
Also, This is a 9-year-old kid. Like, he started digging, but I have it doesn't specifically say he's swinging into the ground. I bet you by the time Encyclopedia Brown found him, he was holding onto the pickaxe and spinning in circles. You know what I mean?
That's why it was top speed.
Top speed. Yeah, exactly right.
So he doesn't want to be bothered, and this is one of those faint lines that you just can't help but love. He says, "Now leave me alone. Go wash an elephant or something. I have to practice."
Have you ever heard that phrase before? Go wash an elephant?
No,
me neither. Yeah, I don't I don't know if it was made up just for this. If it's like, why an elephant? Is it because elephants are large and so it would take a long time to wash?
That's what I assumed.
That's your takeaway, or it would take a long time to find an elephant to go wash one. Yeah, or maybe they can wash themselves. So you're doing your own busy work
anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird. I've never heard somebody go wash an elephant. I'm gonna try and work that. I'm gonna try and work a lot of phrases in this story into my own.
Oh, me
my
too.
More regular.
Me too. Definitely.
Kind of. Yeah. But his kind of mouthing off to Encyclopedia surprises him a little bit, because this kid is. I love this line. He says that Nathan was extremely polite. He said, in fact, he was so polite he never visited Echo Valley. He didn't want to talk back. Which is like, at first is that's your first reaction, like a not real laugh.
Yeah.
And then immediately followed by is Echo Valley a real place that you can go to nearby Idaville?
Yeah, definitely. Is it an actual?
It's capitalized. It's a proper noun. In the book, Echo Valley. And also just that he doesn't understand how echoes work, which is when these stupid kids. No wonder they need Encyclopedia around to find their frickin' bicycles.
Right? No kidding.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so he sits down with Nathan, and he says, "Well, why are you digging these rocks?" And Nathan says that he needs to prove that he can help dig for gold. And then he kind of goes on to recount the story that Wilford Wiggins, who is a high school dropout, which I am also a high school dropout, and I feel like I did okay. I feel like there's a little bit of
prejudice.
There's a little bit of prejudice happening there.
Yeah, I agree. I the first time I read that, I was like, well, I hope that's important.
Yeah, but different strokes for different folks, and I guess there's a certain connotation that goes with it. So Wilfred's got a bunch of basically get rich quick schemes and scams that he's kind of always running, and this current one involves him collecting money from the kids in town to buy a share in a mine in California.
In a gold mine.
Yeah, in a gold mine.
In California.
Which it's like. You want to flip to the front of this and be like, what's the copyright date here? Like, are these kids getting swindled into a gold mine in 1991?
Yeah, right.
You're like, I'm pretty sure we can look at California on TV. It's not like a mysterious place.
Well, and for that matter, we don't know, because we don't know where Idaville is.
That's very
true.
That's very true.
Yeah.
We have no idea where Idaville is. One I guess could think maybe New York, but it doesn't specifically say. And this one, well, I guess this was 1970. Still, though, man had walked on the moon by this point. Yeah. I feel like getting swindled by a gold mine is a little about 100 years out of place.
Agreed. Yeah.
But either way, he's got these kids believing that there's going to be a gold mine, and and I'm sure this is one of those where. Donald J. Sobel read this mystery in another thing, you know what I mean, or read about this scam or something like that, and he was like, oh, that'd make a good encyclopedia, and he just kind of copy pasted the Encyclopedia Brown people around it.
Absolutely. And how believable, in all honesty, if you're 7, 8, 9, and somebody
I
tells
guess
you
that's very
about
true.
This gold mine, and you're going to be like, oh, I can buy a share. I don't know.
Oh, kids are so stupid,
so
man.
gullible.
It's so easy to trick a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And it's possible that. So anyway, it is working. So basically, Encyclopedia says, "Hey, are you sure this is above the level?" And the kid says, "Yeah, well, maybe not. But I tell you, he's having a meeting later. Why don't you come with me to the meeting, and we'll figure it out." And so they head over to the town square. They head to the where he's leaning against. Wilford is leaning against a statue of Abraham Lincoln.
He is, and I think we need to say this. So Encyclopedia is headed with Nathan over to listen to Wilford's talk, but Nathan has warned Encyclopedia ahead of time that Wilford hates him like poison.
Yeah. He hates you like poison, said Nathan. And then Encyclopedia says, what's like poison is Wilford's big talk, but it can't hurt you if you don't swallow it. Like poison, which has to be swallowed, as opposed to like venom, which gets like injected or whatever.
Yeah, very.
Poisonous things are consumed, so like, yeah. And also, you could totally read that in like a Dick Tracy voice.
Yes.
It can't hurt you if you don't swallow it.
Exactly.
You know, like, and so like everything else that happens, like if you wanted to, like you could read this whole thing like this, and like Sally, what's her name? Kimball could, or that's not right.
What is Sally's name? It'll come up. We're gonna.
Yeah. Anyway, but Sally could absolutely be read like a classic broad. They're not, or at least I didn't read them that way. But you could, and sometimes you do. They arrive at the town square where Wilford is leaning up against the statue of Abraham Lincoln. And Abraham Lincoln, it's a tall statue. It's about like twice the size of a normal person. Abraham Lincoln is standing holding a piece of rolled up paper in his hands, which is like probably the Gettysburg Address or something. Uh-huh. And he's got a pigeon sitting on his shoulder, which is like a nice touch to let you know he's a statue.
Yes, yeah.
But then, is there bird shit on Lincoln's face?
It sure looks like it. When I first looked at it, I thought it was supposed to be like his sideburn or something.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not. It doesn't fall in line with the hair.
Yeah, no,
on the side
or like
of his
maybe
head.
like they're trying to go for sunken cheeks. No, I went at it the other way. The first thing I thought when I saw it was bird shit. That bird on his shoulder just sprayed diarrhea all over his face. But then I was like, probably not the illustrator's
Probably supposed to be
intention.
something else.
What is this actually? And then I guess I landed on, some sort of sideburns or hollow. It just looks, seriously though, it looks like
suspiciously like bird shit.
It's like running down. It has this kind of drippy quality to it. It's like white and chunky. Yeah.
I think I agree. Definitely.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the one and only illustration that we are treated to in this story. They show up right in time to hear the pitch, basically, the sales pitch. You've heard all about the gold strike out west,
said Wilford.
My partner, Digger Dan, found the mine, but we need money to buy a mule. So I'm going to make each of you a junior partner for a mere $5. Sure,
said Bugs Meany, pushing his way to the front.
I'll be so rich my little sister will have to quit piano lessons and take up playing the cash register. That's a fact, kid,
replied Wilford.
Exactly where is your gold mine?
Asked Benny Breslin.
I wish I could tell you,
answered Wilford.
But I'm too good an American. If I told, all the people in the East would rush out west. The whole country would tip into the Pacific Ocean and sink. Oh, cut the comedy and get off the air,
sneered Bugs.
If you found a gold mine,
said Hector Conklin,
why didn't you dig enough gold to buy a mule? Why you need our money? I'll tell you, friend, said Wilford. 6 months ago, my partner, Digger Dan, went into the hills looking for gold. He took along his faithful mule Queenie to carry supplies. Digger Dan had been looking for gold for 33 years, went on Wilford. This trip, his bad luck ended. He hit the mother lode, the richest gold strike ever. But did he get greedy and haul it away? No. Queenie was about to have a baby, and Queenie came before worldly riches. Wilford paused to let his words settle upon the animal lovers in the crowd. Then he went on. Digger Dan waited at the gold mine. He needed Queenie to carry back the gold. At last, Queenie had her baby, Strike It Rich. But instead of growing stronger, Queenie grew weaker. Days passed, food and water ran low. Little Strike It Rich died. 5 days later, Queenie died too. Wilford bowed his head, and when he looked up, there was a tear in his eye. He said, Digger Dan might have taken a fortune in gold from the mine if he were heartless. He might have made 2 or 3 quick trips back to town, even though Queenie wasn't fit for heavy work. The children were silent. Jane Foster was crying. So was Lucy Phibbs. Now you know why we need money,
said Wilford.
Digger Dan didn't bring back enough gold to buy a shoelace. But if I can raise the money, he'll be able to buy another mule, go back to the hills, and start working the mine. So that's the mystery, basically. That's the whole pitch. Yeah. That's your setup.
Yep.
And then the rest of it is, everybody starts throwing their money at him, and Encyclopedia Brown basically says, "Hey, everybody, stop! Don't throw away your money. The mine isn't real." And then as all of these stories end, then it says in all caps, "How did Encyclopedia know?" And now you, as the mystery solver, it's your job to kind of go back through those 4 pages and see if you can find the 1 or 2 words that led to the answer there. So basically, the guy took a mule up into the mountains, found a gold mine. The mule had a baby, and then the baby got sick, and the mama mule got sick, and now they need a new mule.
And it couldn't haul gold back because they didn't have mules. Yeah.
I mean, it didn't have the mules. Yeah. Okay. So again, did you solve this mystery without flipping to the back of the book?
No, I did not. There was something in the back. I was like, okay, I know this has to do with such and such. It has to do with the mule issue, but I did not know. I didn't come to my brain that tidbit of trivia that solved this murder.
And what is the tidbit of? Well, it's not a murder.
Not murder. Sorry, that's not what I meant.
It is a mystery.
That solves this mystery.
So what is it? Share it with our guests. What is the?
Well, so the key to this mystery is that Queenie is a mule, and mules, as we well know, are half horse and half donkey.
Yeah.
And mules themselves, as just they are, cannot have offspring.
So because they're an offspring of a horse and a donkey, mules are sterile.
They are. They cannot,
Yeah, so Queenie could never have a baby. Baby mules are not born from adult mules.
So Strike It Rich was a big fat lie.
Right, exactly.
And
that never occurred.
Its death was a lie.
How we knew the whole thing.
And that's sad,
Yeah. Actually, I mean, I guess it's good if the baby mule had to die in the story. I guess it's good that at the end of the day, the baby mule never
existed. Yeah, of course.
So it never died. That's which probably actually the only way that it got included in this story.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? In this book, because if this story actually included the death of a baby animal,
it probably wouldn't.
That'd be kind of a bummer. But so this was a bit of a forehead smack. It's one of those which I feel like, because we read all the mysteries in this, all of the mysteries are like this, well, god damn it. That's a lot of times that's how I felt when I flipped to the last page. I was like, oh god damn it. Was often my initial reaction.
Me too, definitely.
But because I feel like they're all like this. Oh, the one thing, the last thing I'll mention about this though is that he delivers the whole spiel about the mule and the mine and everything like that, and then he says, so who's first in line? And it specifically says Bugs Meany bought the first share. He biked off as pleased with himself as a millionaire. Before anyone else could buy a share, Encyclopedia held up his hands.
Yeah,
Don't throw away your money. Yeah, exactly. He's like, there is one person in this crowd that I am okay with having them get swindled. And so he's like, he's like, you know what the answer is, and he's like, I do, but hang on a second, let's let Bugs get rid of his money first. Okay, now that the bully has been scammed, nobody else spend any money.
Right.
It's a very selective form of justice.
It really is.
What I mean?
Yes,
because,
absolutely. Yeah, I love that too.
Because Bugs had nothing to do with this scam, because there are a couple other ones in here where whoever is perpetrating the kind of scam, they've got a patsy with them, you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
if they're doing a medicine sale thing where they'll have a mark in the crowd. And Bugs is not that. Bugs is absolutely a victim.
Yeah. And Encyclopedia is like, that's okay.
He's like, just hang on, just 1 second though, because Buzz is about to fall for the or the Bugs, because now Bugs is about. Okay, all right, now that he's gone, nobody else. Yeah, I just
everybody wait.
I thought that was ridiculous.
I like that exactly. As well.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like, yeah, unless you are, kind of a big, you're big on kind of learning about animal husbandry, or like you grew up in 4-H or something like that. Like that's one of those facts that, I don't know, you've probably been taught in a book like this, like in a book of trivia, but how are you going to remember that specifically mules don't have baby mules, unless, it's just like one of those things where, well, as I was saying before, there's only one mystery in this entire book series that I got right away, and it's one that has to do with a treasure map and a boat.
Yep.
And the whole thing is basically like, oh, well, I had to leave early because the tide was coming in, and the water was getting closer and closer to the porthole on the boat, and if I stayed too long, the water would have gone into the porthole and made the boat sink. Which is one of those, like, I've spent enough time on boats that I'm like, no.
Right.
The boat
but had we not been raised on sailboats or boats,
exactly.
Would we realize that? Would we register that?
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those. There's another one called the Case of the Five Clues, which is about somebody robs the cash register at the local Five and Dime, but they leave 5 clues on the counter, and I won't pull out the clues right now, but they seem to be a rather random assortment of items, and then they basically kind of list the couple of people who live nearby who might be the suspects, and Encyclopedia Brown is able to immediately nail down who the person is because that person is a seamstress.
Right.
And those 5 clues are like, I can't remember what it's like. The bag of rocks is for sharpening the needles, and it's
oil for the machine, and something.
Yeah. It's all these things where it's like, well, if you have ever disassembled and reassembled a sewing machine, then I guess then this mystery is really obvious to you. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, they all require these kind of pretty specific pieces of knowledge or trivia. Which is kind of interesting.
Well, and even in this story, they say that. I mean, like in the resolution on page 94, when it tells you how to solve the mystery, they say Wilford didn't know that neither Queenie nor any other mule can have a baby mule. But then I like that they go in the very next sentence, 2 sentences. They say mule is an offspring of a female horse and a male ass. Mules simply cannot, like you're just supposed to, like, they simply cannot have young of their own. Like,
right. Duh, you idiot. I can't believe you had to flip to the back of the book to figure this out. Don't you know anything about mules, you idiot?
Yeah, exactly. Well, my bad. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're, and then some of them are a bit more, based on your powers of observation. The Case of the Flying Boy is about a guy who claims to demonstrate that he can fly by jumping out of a window and flying. And then he takes them back to the window that he flies out of and, kind of raises the shade and opens the window to be like, see, this is the window that I jumped out of. And, that's one of those where really if you're paying attention, really, really paying attention to be like, well, wait a minute. Why did he have to open the window and draw the shade if he just jumped out of that window and flew away?
Same thing as the solution of the Case of the Junk Sculptor in this one.
Oh, yeah. Remind me about that one.
So this is one where Encyclopedia gets hired to find a bike wheel that has been stolen off of somebody's bike. And they track it back to another person in town who's been observed and collects junk to make art, which Sally thinks is so romantic, just so romantic.
She's just immediately taken by this, and I have to say, like, as someone who spent a good part of his life as, I mean, not a professional painter, but as a professional artist, like a poor, starving artist, like. Women who find that deeply and truly, like, romantic, they're not extremely common. Most of them are like, but so then what do you do for money?
They're like, it's a nice idea.
So you're a professional waiter? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what you really do, right?
But Sally... Well, Sally's like 11 or 12, so money hasn't started to enter into the equation of attraction.
Absolutely
for Sally
not. And
yet.
she just thinks
she's
he's
just
so
like,
cultured.
He wears a big smock and a floppy beret, and just what an artist! What an artist!
You can feel the angst come through the pages. So anyway, so in that one they get to, and of course his name is Pablo. But the key to that one is that Pablo claims to have been sitting in the chair all morning working on this sculpture. But when Encyclopedia reaches down and brushes the chair seat, he discovers that it's cool. And so Pablo couldn't have been sitting there all day, or the seat would be warm. And that is an astute observation on Encyclopedia's part. I
suppose so. I suppose that one was pretty good. I thought that more telling than that was that like the paint was dry. Like I don't know, like but then but there's another one that's kind of similar where one of I think it's Bugs Meany gives like an alibi that he was like walking east at sunrise,
the bird watcher,
the birds, and then the whole thing in the back is like, everybody knows that if you walk east at sunrise, you won't be able to see the birds, because they'll only be silhouettes. And I'm like, well, if you've ever actually gone bird watching, you don't only stare at birds on the horizon. And like it's not like it's not like the sun is like, I mean, it is a blazingly hot, incredibly bright object, but like it's not like you cannot in early morning sunlight when the sun is traveling through a significantly larger amount of atmosphere, which is why sunrises and sunsets are red. Like it's not like you can only see the like searing light of the sun at sunrise
and nothing
everything
else
is in shadow. Like if you could walk east at sunrise and see birds, like absolutely you could. Like maybe not birds that were right in front of the sun, but like that was one where like I read the solution, I was like, well, okay. But also,
Yes, agreed.
I was like, I take exception to that solution. That happened to me maybe once or twice in these.
So I take back what I said about there not being one that I just knew the answer. I did.
Okay.
And part of it was the case of the kidnapped pigs.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is one where a bunch of prize pigs two prize pigs get stolen, and they get stolen because they've been winning some competition, and the idea is that the thieves are stealing them and plan to return them, but are stealing them just long enough that they can't win the competition this year. Do I have
you have it right?
That?
Yes, yep. Okay, and so Encyclopedia gets hired to find the pigs, and so I have in my during the story, it's all about he makes a phone call. He gets a call from the kidnappers, and then let's see, he's got
the pignappers.
The kidnapper ran out of money for the telephone call, so he's got to call back the person, the kidnapper, Carl does.
Oh man,
who owns the pigs.
That kidnapper did not plan ahead.
No, did not plan ahead at all. But this is Carl's critical mistake, is he says that the phone number is ZA 6-7575. And I actually wrote in the book when I was reading it, I said, what kind of phone is this?
Well, that was phone numbers up until up until the addition of area codes. Often the first letters or the first two digits of a phone number would be letters.
Were they? Okay.
So a lot of times you'll see like in old ads and stuff, it'll be like call Klondike 5-1520.
Okay,
and it's KL5, and so like that I got, but at the same time I'm like, when you see the first two digits of a phone number as letters, my immediate thought is not like, well, let me make sure those letters are legit. My immediate thought is like, well, this was written before the modern era of phones. You know what I mean? Because you'll see, call JP7 2191, or and I'm sure they probably related like area codes or something like that. But the whole call Z, ZL.
ZA, and then that was what gave it away. There's no Z on the telephone dial.
There's no Z on.
It has nothing to do with the A,
dial.
Just the Z.
Right.
Yeah.
But like if I pull up but if I pull up my keypad on my cell phone right now,
is there no Z?
No, there absolutely is a Z. It's 9. 9 is WXYZ. But maybe on the old rotary phones, there wasn't a Z.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe not.
But like that, again, that's like okay.
How do you know that?
This mystery is a little dated.
Like if my nephews were to read Encyclopedia Brown, they would have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. They that would immediately fall into like, well, there's a couple mysteries that are like old timey, so you can't solve them. You know what I mean? Like,
you're not actually gonna know. You're gonna learn something when you find out the answer,
right? But
you can't solve them.
Not something you're gonna retain.
Yeah, right.
Something that you will learn and immediately forget, like the fact that mules simply cannot produce offspring. And yeah, I guess that's the mystery, and that's Encyclopedia Brown.
Yeah,
everyone's favorite boy detective saves the day. So I don't know. Final thoughts on Encyclopedia Brown Saves the Day? Would you recommend it? Would you recommend others in the series?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, I would. I think the entire thing, depending on your reading speed, I think it took me about an hour.
Yeah, it's
to
like
get through the entire book, honestly,
yeah,
and I was like taking my time and enjoying and laughing.
Really, really relishing the.
Yeah, I have lots of like arrow, haha. Written all over.
Yep, scribbling in the margins. Absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend them. I think they're fun. I think you have to have an open mind.
Yeah, absolutely. An open mind also to feeling stupid.
Because
a lot of times when you flip to the like we've talked about, when you flip to the end, you're like, oh God.
and you're ready to occasionally read things like the fact that they point out someone's a high school dropout, or they might some of the older ones we haven't discussed. There might be some things about race and that sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Which
I'm not totally sure. Well, yeah, I enjoyed the books. I think my favorite part about them, as we talked about before, was that kind of noir writing style.
Uh-huh.
Like even in that section that we read, there's like 6 or 7, quit joking to get off the air, or like they have all those kind of zingers, these little kind of like one-liners they're constantly throwing at him. There's another one where it's like, actually, I think it might be in the one that we read, where he says something about a dig until he hears chopsticks.
Yeah,
which is like weird in a couple of ways. You know what I mean? Like, are you talking about like the song chopstick, like on a piano, and also, or like the sound of chopsticks clicking? Because dig to China, obviously, but like, I don't know. That was like, some of them are I guess more effective than others. Some are
like Art says this one in the case of the kidnapped pigs. He says, "Go drink some spot remover and disappear," eh? Like he's got like, go drink spot remover.
It's like an insult for a dog. Like like I'm just there
are just a lot of them that I had to. I found myself having to read out loud.
Totally. Yeah, but overall, I really like these books, and so that's Encyclopedia Brown and the case of the Gold Rush. So, I don't think that we have come up with a decision yet as to what book we're going to read for our next spin-off episode. As a matter of fact, as the time we record this, we still haven't thought up a title for our spin-off podcast, but we'll get, baby steps.
Yeah.
Well, after we posted 2 or 3 episodes, we'll come up with something to name it. But so I guess if you're listening, and if you like the idea of us exploring other children's mysteries and mystery book series, shoot us a Twitter or a Facebook or an email through that standard Hardy Boys Drink Book, right where you found this podcast.
Definitely.
And we would love to hear it. We'd love to hear if you have suggestions for other books we should read, or other fun things we can do to kind of make this one fun and its own kind of unique animal.
Definitely. What'll keep you guys listening?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because believe me, I'll read these stupid kids mysteries.
I'll read as many as you want, but listeners are important when it comes to podcasting.
That's very true. You got to have at least a couple.
Exactly.
And we do, and I know we always say that a lot on the show, but we thank all of our listeners for tuning in for every one of those press plays that we get. We just passed the Hardy Boys Drink Book just passed 10,000 plays across all of its episodes. So yeah, that's a big thanks to all of you all of you out there in listener land. Well, that was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do another one of these.
Me either.
Thanks for joining me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, and let's
maybe
keep this
next
going.
maybe next time we'll unify our cocktails and we'll try something from the recipes of the Hardy Boys Drink Book.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Until next time, adventure fans. Thanks for listening. If you liked the episode, or if you didn't, let us know. Word of mouth is the best way for new listeners to find us, so we always appreciate a review. Have an idea for a mystery we should feature or a boozy cocktail that we should enjoy responsibly? Well, we want to hear that too. Find us on social media and share your ideas. Don't be a stranger now. See you next time on The Drunken Gumshoes.